Good morning, 2022. You're listening to Drinking Socially, the official Untapped podcast.
Your weekly look into what's happening in the Untapped community and the world of beer.
This episode is brought to you by Untapped and the Untapped store. Check it out. Go to store.untapped.com. Go to store.untapped.com and use the coupon code podcast. That'll save you 20% off of anything that you buy while you're there.
And remember to like, subscribe, hit the bell, do the whatever you do. You guys know how the internet works. But you do you. We appreciate it a lot. All right. So season 5, we're back. We're going to have more explosions, more mystery, maybe even more knife fights, because season 4 had none of those things. So we're setting the bar real low for us. Not for the beer, though. We're going to start off with some beers this season John and I have never had, and a badge has been a little too hot for me to handle, the Raising the Heat badge. And I'm also going to sit down with Joel Holland, one part of the genius behind Harvest Host. If you love beer and adventures, you're going to love everything Joel has to say. If you own or rent RVs each year, you're definitely going to love what he has to say. So stay tuned for that. But first, John, tell me more about this badge we're kicking off season 5 with. And welcome back.
We're thank you, Harrison. We're starting off season 5 by raising the heat, which makes sense. It's the coldest it's ever been. And what do we need? So the badge that we're talking about today, called Raising the Heat, in order to unlock this badge, you have to check into 5 different beers, and they have to match the style of a spiced or herbed ale, a Groot or an ancient herbed ale, or a chili beer. So it's a style-driven badge. All you have to do is find one of those beers that classifies as that style on Untapped, and you'll unlock the badge telling you, feel the burn, which sounds like Harrison is your physical fitness instructor. Feel the burn. No, not from your pre-workout, but from the spiced beverage you're now partaking in. That's 5 different beers to unlock the badge and then level it up. It's a core badge, and Harrison did a little bit of digging through the archives to tell us that this was actually created January 4th, 2016, which makes it, I don't know, what is that, 6 years old plus something a week like or so?
That. Yeah, 6 years and a week. Perfect. It's I'm excited to check it out. I don't think I've done anything with it myself personally, but that's fine. Before we do, a quick note, if you guys haven't heard yet, Hop Culture is coming back. Beers Without Beards, the festival, of course, coming to you live in Portland, Maine. So those tickets went on sale this week. Come support the most badass women in the beer industry. Visit Maine, Portland, Maine, Saturday, April 9th, 2022, of course, at the Brick South Thompson's Point. So it's a really cool venue. I got to take pictures of it. It's like an old brick building looking thing. But tickets are on sale now. Breweries like Allagash, Abyssal Bros is a big one for me that I think I've yet to have. But Superstition Meadery will be there, King Canary. So pretty sick breweries, sick meaderies, great cause. Hop Culture's Beers Without Beards Festival. Jump on over to festivals.hopculture.com to find out more and grab your tickets. The early bird tickets are on sale now, too. And hopefully we'll see you guys up in Maine in April, where there'll probably still be a foot of snow on the ground, but that's okay. There'll be lots of great beer and lobster rolls and stuff to enjoy. All right.
Up next, I guess let's open this beer, right? Let's get the year started.
That's what we do, isn't it? That's the main thing here.
Yeah, at least it's the high point of my day, or morning, if you will. So Harrison's opening a beer called Jalapeno Weed Ale. This comes from Mount Shasta Brewing, and they tell us on Untapped, this is a smooth start with the jalapenos really giving it a hot kick that lingers for a while. The aroma is floral with a strong, spicy pepper bite on the nose. And I love this part. Dry hopped with 35 pounds of fresh jalapenos. Each batch will vary. If you've ever gone to the store and bought jalapenos
Right.
and boldly like bit into one to see like how hot is this,
Crazy.
you know that that's only counting that one jalapeno. The one
Right.
next to it is either going to be 10 times hotter or not hot at all.
Or not hot at all. Right. Exactly
I love
right.
Mount Shasta for giving us some clarity in that these are going to vary. We use fresh jalapenos. And I also think it's really cool that they say, even though it may not be technically correct, dry hopped with fresh jalapenos. Because if you're listening to this podcast, you know exactly what we mean when we say dry hopped. So Mount Shasta is based out of Weed, California. I assume that's where some of the name comes from. Harrison, you've already got it in a glass and in your gullet. How's it taste?
Yes, there's heat. The hotness. These beers are always so fun. We've talked about one we both love from Birdsong, their jalapeno pale ale. But the thing about it, correct me if I'm wrong, John, is that they take all the seeds out of the jalapenos, so it's not spicy, but you get that like jalapeno flavor. Not happening here. This punches you right in the back of the face. This is cool, but it's not like not delicious. It's very tasty. I think it stands in like a beautiful amber ale. Pretty much, it's got a great nose to it. It looks like just a beautiful beer. Period. This is the perfect trick beer. You can give it to your buddy and say it's an amber ale. He takes a sip and boom, he's wondering why someone stole all the air out of his lungs. It's
making me nervous to take my first sip.
It's not, I'm not a spice guy. I'm not that person who's eating the buffalo wings, crying because they're so hot and pretending I'm enjoying myself. Ooh. I'm just a guy who likes a good thing. This is balanced, and to your point, it's tough, probably really tough to make a consistent jalapeno beer because you may get a batch right that's crazy and a batch that's not so. So this is the first time I'm having this, but hats off to these guys for making something that I can actually drink a whole pint of that's got a bunch of jalapenos in it. But this is good. What do you think, John? You made a face and a noise. What's happening?
So good. This what really got me excited was the nose on this beer.
Yeah, tell me about that.
Recovering from COVID, so I'm happy I can smell anything. But this beer is a great test. The nose is like, it's like fresh jalapeno, right? Like imagine going into some Grammy's house where she's making a salsa, right? And she's got jalapenos all over and there's seeds and you're afraid to touch anything because you don't want to burn your eyes when you take your contacts out. Yep. That's what this beer smells like. But then the flavor, it's like, when if I try and explain this in a John way, if I drink an IPA that's like triple Citra dry hopped, right? I drink that IPA and I'm just getting bombarded with Citra hops and usually citrus flavor come from that. In this case, replace that citrus hop with fresh jalapeno. And that's like it meets you on your first sip and then lingers. It's a little bit warm afterwards, but it's not like doing it to be mean. I think this batch is really well balanced, but I'm also really excited to see every batch will vary. What could be better than that? Anytime you see this beer, you should drink it if you like it, because it'll be a little bit different of a story.
Absolutely. I know it's warming my stomach now. It's great for a cold evening. And again, beautiful beer, just like beautiful looking, great head, smells awesome. And yeah, tastes delicious. I'm usually not a pepper beer guy, but this one's getting me excited, John. It's very enjoyable.
Yeah, where was this beer when? Well, we're not going to talk about football, but like this beer, if you like tacos, if you like nachos, you like chili, you should probably love this beer. It's not too dark. It's not too malty. It's just like jalapenos singing that are carbonated with some alcohol in it. I think this would be amazing if I had a little bit of cornbread just to kind of pair with it. Like such a beautiful evening weekend camping trip. What a great beer.
No, geez, John, now you're making me all excited for cornbread. It's cornbread rim on this. I could go the distance with some cornbread. Just living that decadent life. Is 2022 the year of rimming your beer glasses with bread? Maybe different kinds of bread. Plenty of bread out there. I don't want to hear anyone saying there's not enough bread. Get
Lots
out of
of
here. That's your
options.
excuse. Too much bread. Bread everywhere. Bread falling off the trucks. I got 9 loaves of bread in my house right now. We need more somehow.
Yeah, this is. I also want to shout out your idea for like sneakily sipping this beer to a friend.
Oh yeah.
If you're fortunate enough to be able to grab some, I mean, I'm not encouraging you to be mean to your friends or enemies, but this is if done in good taste, hey, thanks for stopping over, Uncle Jimmy. Always love your political advice. Here, let me pour you a beer.
This is it. Forget about icing, people. We got a jalapeno wheat ale, people. Let's get ice out of here. We're straight up jalapeno wheat ale, people. Right? If it's the right person, they'll lock in on the weed ale and get giggly and totally miss they're about to get burned by the jalapenos, and you just sit back and laugh. Oh man, but yeah, this is cool. This is my first beer from Mount Shasta, and we're going to talk with Joel a bit more about those guys. It's a beautiful brewery. You're staring at Mount Shasta pretty much, everywhere you look when you walk outside of it. So this will be fun to look at a giant mountain / volcano and enjoy some heat that's not coming from the volcano, coming from your beer.
Yeah, good.
I could get down to that. And before we go to Joel, though, you took a hot minute to look at this badge, the Raising the Heat badge, and what Untapped users are doing with it. What did you learn, John?
Man, weird stuff.
Weird stuff with it, I bet.
I want to draw your attention back to where I said that this is a style-driven badge. So. Right. Remember, like Ancient Ale, Groot was on there, obviously chili beer, but like a spiced ale would qualify as well. So that being said, this badge has been unlocked about 250,000 times. A lot of people out there that have dabbled in the spiced beer trade. The number one, the winner, the beer that's helped most people get this badge comes from Southern Tier Brewery. They make some weird stuff.
They do.
But the winner is their Cinnamon Roll Imperial Ale. Not so spiced, yes. Cinnamon, sure. Not what you might think after hearing Harrison and I talk about this jalapeno. This Cinnamon Roll beer was good. It tasted way too close to a cinnamon roll. If you haven't had that one, that's the beer that helped me level up this badge most recently. But a couple other ones, the one that everyone should be thinking is Ballast Point's Habanero Sculpin. That's on the top 10. Midas Touch from Dogfish Head for an ancient ale. Yep. Yeah. Dogfish Head makes some great ancient beers. Would probably help people level this up. And probably the weirdest one I saw was Summer Solstice from Anderson Valley. One of the first Goses I ever had, I think, if I remember that beer right. But it's, I think, listed on Untapped as a herbed ale, which is going to help you again unlock this badge. So if you're afraid of the heat, you can still get this badge, and you can do it in a very cinnamon rolled, delicious, delectable way, or you can just go after the chili beers, which is really exciting as well.
Yeah, they're fun. There's some crazy ones out there. I knew a guy who was Stone made like a beer called Anvil. That was like a crazy, spicy, I don't know what kind of peppers were in it, but that was for a hot minute. That was like the beer that people were trading for like crazy.
Their Crime and Punishment. Exactly. Stone, I remember those were those were dangerous.
Right. So this is not that, but again, there are lots of cool beers out there. This is like jumping back onto specifically talking about the spicy side of it. That's a certain kind of person who's like, again, give me the buffalo wing sauce right in my face, hit me in the eyes with it. Like, we all know those guys and gals. They're out there. They're a lot of fun in small doses, but jumping through tables and stuff. But as John mentioned, you don't need to be a hothead to dig on this stuff. There's some cool ancient ales and Groots and other things that aren't necessarily as spicy. You can enjoy, but this is great. I mean, this is really kind of making my lips sing, and the back of my throat feels a little funny. My head feels a little funny. Speaking of funny things, let's go talk to Joel. I sat down with Joel Holland. He's an awesome dude, And really, it's hard not to be when your life is nothing but beer, wine, and traveling the open road in your RV, trying to find the next great adventure. That's what Joel does. So we can all find amazing places to go, have some beer, some wine, camp out under the stars, and then wake up and do it all again. So that's really part of what Harvest Host is all about. So go check out our conversation, and then come on back, and we may have another something to do here. But let's talk to Joel first. Hey, Joel, how's it going today?
I'm doing well, Harrison. How are you, my friend?
I am fantastic. I'm excited, really, is what I am. I mean, to talk to you. Harvest Host is such a cool idea. The moment I heard it, it was kind of like a light bulb moment where I was like, this is amazing, but why has it taken this long for it to happen? It's just like, it's so great. And I'm going to poorly explain it. So I'll let you kind of take us through what is Harvest Host, why is it so awesome, and why should everybody care about it? Because they should.
No, I appreciate that. And, you know, and I also genuinely love the company and the product, and I'm the biggest user. So
Okay.
I can be an evangelical all day for this.
Right.
The concept is very simple. We are a membership organization for RVers. So if you own an RV, if you rent an RV, if you have a converted van, you join Harvest Hosts. It's not very expensive. It's about $100 a year.
Yeah.
That then gets you unlimited access to spend the night at over 3,000 wineries, breweries, distilleries, golf courses, farms, and other really unique small businesses and attractions all over North America. And of course, for today's topic, breweries are huge and a massive growing part of our business. We have over 370 breweries in the program.
Wow.
Yep. And they're all awesome, for one reason or another, right? Some have just the most tremendous beer. Some have the most tremendous location, setting. But the concept, and here's what drew me to the business originally. And I bought this business about 4 years ago.
Right.
My wife and I RV, right? We love going to breweries and tasting. But when we used to do it, only one of us could do the tasting because the other one had to drive a 20,000 pound vehicle.
Right.
We're like, this sucks. Like, wouldn't it be nice if we could come here, support the business, and then just spend the night in the parking lot, right? Turns out there was a concept, Harvest Hosts, that was doing it. It was pretty small, but I loved the idea. I reached out to the owners and just said, hey, can I buy this business? I would love to try to take this to more breweries, more members.
Wow. I love that. And right, as you said, you're the biggest user, the number one fan. And what a cool opportunity for you to fall in love with something and go, but wait a sec, this is the beginning. Let's find the ceiling to this thing. And I'm sure doing that, what a hard sell to kind of travel around the country, going to breweries. I'd love to hear a little bit about that. Kind of what is that like, finding new partners, finding new hosts? It must just be a hoot. Obviously, you can't travel everywhere, but I'm sure you've gone to cool places and discovered new breweries. And what's that like? Do people reach out and tell you, hey, this crazy place is on the top of a mountain, it should be a host? Are they coming to you? What happens there?
Yeah. Well, first, nobody believes me when I tell them this is my job, right? And let me get this straight. You drive around the country in an RV, having a blast.
Right.
And then when it's time to work, it means you go somewhere to drink wine or beer. That's amazing. And it truly is that great. And so, the pitch to all these small businesses, right? And to use breweries as an example, it's, hey, we now have over 200,000 members at Harvest Hosts that are ready to support your business. And RVers are an enthusiastic crowd. They're a fun crowd. Most of them, it's leisure travel, right? So they're on the road having a blast.
Right.
So on average, when they visit a brewery, they spend about $50, and that adds up. Our average host makes about $13,000 in extra revenue a year. But really some of the popular ones, and I think two of the ones you're going to try today, they're each going to make between $30,000 and $50,000 in additional revenue just from our members. And we don't take any of that, right? We don't take a dime. And it never costs anything to be a part of the program as a host. So our pitch to the brewery is, hey, we'll bring you customers. It won't cost you anything. What we ask for in return is you just let them spend one night, 24 hours parked somewhere, right? Hopefully scenic, but in a parking lot, out back by the trees. They have their, our members come fully hooked up. They have everything, right? They have their own water, their own bathrooms, their own food. They're self-contained. And so that's the other thing we tell hosts. They're not going to use your facilities, your bathrooms, nothing. You don't even need power and water. They got it all. So I think it's a pretty easy pitch. Now, not every brewery needs us, and some of them are, unfortunately, are kind of they're in urban areas where there's not a lot of room.
Sure.
Right? So they don't need an RV taking up space. But if you have room and you want more customers, I think we're a no-brainer.
Yeah, absolutely. I do too. And I mean, Mountain Shasta is a great example. You probably know them better than I do, but John and I are going to join their jalapeno wheat ale today. They sent over, which we thank them for that. I'm excited to get spicy, but like Weed California, like beautiful. Let's talk about that a little bit. Like, what are some of the ones that you are like, if you have a list, if you're like, I have an RV or I'm thinking of renting one, I love beer. Like, what is the list of ones you gotta not miss? Where should someone start? Give me the lowdown there.
Yeah, totally. I mean, so first of all, and this is what we spend most of our time on, is growing the network, right? So when I bought the company, there were 600 locations and maybe 30 breweries. Today we have 3,000 and 370 breweries, but we're adding, we're going to add hundreds of breweries this year. That's my goal, right? Yes. And exactly. And they're all spread out. And so the beautiful thing with 377, I think we have right now, they're all over the country. Yeah. And so no matter what state you're in, you can find one, or 2 or 10, right?
Right.
And they're all unique for one reason or another. So, we're talking about Mount Shasta, which you mentioned, and you're going to taste.
Yeah.
Super cool backstory. It's a family-owned business, which a lot of these are.
Sure.
They renovated an old creamery building that was built in 1952. Right. Yep. So they, already the story's cool. They took something that was discarded and made it special again.
Right.
Their first keg of beer ever sold in 2002, Weed Golden Ale. And from what I understand, I haven't been there. They have quite an eclectic tasting room. And so, as a member on our site, you can actually pull up all the photos of the location and where you're going to park and what it's like. You can read all the comments and reviews to get a feel for the flavor. But it looks awesome. And so they've been a member of our program since last June. And they've had almost 400 of our members stay with them already.
Wow.
And people love it. So definitely, if you're in California, check out Mount Shasta. I tend to, a few months out of every year we travel and we pick different routes in different parts of the country, depending on, how we're feeling, where we're going.
Sure.
Some of my favorites, they're all over the place, but I don't know why. For some reason, I really like New England in the fall, right? Everybody does. New England in the fall. What a spot.
Right.
And there's this brewery, Booth Bay Craft Brewery in Booth Bay, Maine. And Booth Bay is right on the water. And it's quintessential, Norman Rockwell, fishing town. And this brewery is awesome. And they win awards every year for their beers. Their IPAs are award winning. The setting's phenomenal. So what's kind of cool to me is, I typically go to the locations for the setting, right? Or location. Right. But actually, a lot of our members are award-winning breweries. And so the stuff's actually really good. So you're not compromising. You kind of get it all.
I know. Yeah. Booth Bay, if you're on tap, they're a verified venue. They have their menu up so you can look right away and kind of get excited before you even go. And as you said, they're world-class. They're Thirsty Botanist, one of their IPAs. That's
it's so good.
People talk about and they trade for, and they're you got to check this thing out. So, but go to the source. And that's kind of what gets me so excited. Well, one of the things that gets me so excited about Harvest Host is you're RVing around, kind of bringing your home with your second home or third home or whatever. But you're also at the brewery. You can walk into your couch and sit down and have a crowler, and then walk outside your front yard is a brewery overlooking maybe a mountain or the coast or whatever.
Yep.
That's really I took the mental journey when I learned about Harvest House, and I was like, what would this be like to wake up in a brewery parking lot, subtracting the possible headache and all that stuff. But you're in the parking lot, but not on the ground. You're in a comfortable RV and you're ready to go do a tasting.
One of the coolest parts, and this is pretty exclusive to our program.
Yeah.
But you get to these locations and you, of course, go in during business hours. So you do the tasting with, John Q. Public, and it's fun.
Right.
But then you get to stay, right? You get to stay after they close. And what happens 9 times out of 10 is the owners or, whoever's behind the bar is hey, we're all going to just get together and have a bonfire and drink some of these beers we literally haven't tapped yet. Would you like to try them?
Right.
And that becomes the really cool, unique experience is learning from the owners, like, tell me, like, how did you get into this? Like, how long did it take you to, to craft the thirsty botanist and win these awards? Right. That's really fun. So you get this behind the scenes look that nobody else gets. And that's what makes it truly special.
Yes. And as someone who's worked at a brewery for 8 coming to Untapped, yes, when the bar closes to the public, the brewers, the bartenders, they're still there. And that is when like the cellar comes out, or logistically, like the beer they're going to release tomorrow, they tap right now and check it out. And that's so cool that your members have an opportunity to be there and have that relationship where, right, they're not just, someone who's coming in for the day and doing a tasting and a tour, but they're parking out back, camping out back, or whatever it may be. And
dude, I've gotten to canned beers. I've gotten to label beers. Like I feel like I've learned I could not obviously build a beer, but I can physically package a beer now because of Harvest Hosts.
Right. That's amazing. That's amazing. And that's what people want, who love beer, love breweries. It's, you truly do that. You want to kind of go behind the scenes and just have a unique experience there. And you're obviously offering that up. And and again, such a cool way that it's just, I'm excited you guys are doing this, and excited to see you guys grow this year. I mean, that's so cool. You've already leaps and bounds for 4 years, like rocketed up past 3,000 locations. But to say like, we're just getting started, that's exciting too, where someone just loves a new adventure and loves telling our listeners about that, because we get all the time. I mean, every week, someone's traveling somewhere. Where do I go? What do I do? Now we can open up this whole new world of, well, if you have an RV, here you go. Like, or if you want to rent one or have a buddy who has one, great. Call in the favor to your friend that has the RV, and you give them this awesome adventure through Harvest Host. So it's just, I'm loving it. And I want to talk more about the unique stuff. So that alone is the getting beers and hanging out with brewers after hours, which it takes a certain kind of person. But anyway, so tell me more. What are some other cool stories, things that stand out, unique experiences you've heard from members or hosts that you're like, wow, what an amazing thing to happen.
Yeah, totally. I mean, well, one of the other breweries I think you guys are going to be trying at some point,
yes,
Debilation Brewing.
Yes.
I hope I'm pronouncing that right. I haven't been there yet either. The bummer is now we're growing so fast, I can't personally visit them all, which I used to be able to.
Sure.
So a lot of recommendations I take directly from our members and what they're saying. But but what I think is really cool about Debilation is so it's in Richmond Hill, Georgia, veteran-owned brewery, and so I've been to actually a number of host locations now that are veteran-owned, and they're super passionate about it. I mean, and I don't know, what it is, but basically they've like found a new life where they're like, this is what I want to do. This is what I've always wanted to do. Wow. And they crush it because it's like, they're doing it for all the right reasons. I don't know. Right. And like, it sounds weird, but basically all the veteran owned ones I've visited, you could just tell there's something very passionate about the business. And I think that, and that's what's cool about microbreweries in general, is there's actually some soul to them. Right. And so I think that, Debilation, I'm excited, to visit. I guess the founders trace their lineage back to Norway. And so it has a Viking theme, which is kind of cool.
I know. Yes. And I'm hoping John and I will get to try their Viking Sati, which is one of their kind of a Sati style farmhouse ale, which is Norwegian and originally came from Norway. So they're leaning into that heritage, but which is so cool. And that's a style you don't see enough. It's a lot of fun, kind of like a spicy, in a different way than the jalapeno one is, farmhouse ale. So that's cool too.
And dude, they joined in last August. So right, not even close to a full year, and they've already had 663 RVers stay with them.
Wow!
So that's saying something. It must be very, very good.
I love that. Yeah, for sure. And again, looking at them on Untapped, it quite obviously is great reviews. A lot of really cool styles of beer you don't see a lot, like Satis, and they have Irish stouts, Dunkelweisens, a bunch of apple spiced ales, mango habanero beers, like that. If you want an adventure, Harvest Host and beer, boom. I mean, this is a perfect Debilation is a great stop. We'll be again hanging in our RV, but also drinking beers that maybe your neighborhood brewery isn't making different kinds of styles. So that's fun too for
kind of. And then we have some interesting like hybrid breweries. So there are, and you can discover them all over. But last year we visited one that was a brewery golf course, and you could park right there, go do a tasting, and then jump in a golf cart and go play a pretty nice little course. But the cool thing about putting those together is it was just really fun. Like it was actually one of the more fun. I'm not a great golfer, but after doing a very strong tasting, I had a fantastic time. Right.
There you go.
Put them together. We have a lot of food and breweries, right? So places that have phenomenal kitchens. And so you can go for either the food or the brews or put them together. Booth Bay is another good example. They have wood-fired pizza there that's phenomenal. And so I actually, when I stayed there for a couple of days, I really didn't have to leave, right? I had the beer, I had the pizza, I had the views of the ocean.
Wow.
It had everything. And so I like some of these combination breweries that are popping up. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, absolutely. And you see more and more of that with brewery distilleries, right? Breweries with food. Like, there's so many different ways to kind of a lot of breweries
throwing.
Kombucha. That's the ones. I know that's one that makes me a little nervous, but
I love that. I think we must have added 15 or 20 axe throwing breweries in the last year.
Yeah, sure.
And I mean, I don't know who started that concept, but pretty smart. Smart.
Brave person, right?
Yeah.
And a lot of trusting friends. And here we are. I know we have one in town that we go to that's as a company it's great. It's a lot of fun. And we also have our fingers and all of our toes. So everything's peachy keen there and have a blast. You're right. That's the kind of the point you're making is that you can, right. There is no brewery now. Every brewery is different. Every brewery has some cool, unique thing. Why limit yourself to what you can experience through it by going there and then going to like a hotel or being there for a couple hours and leaving when you can like hang out and really just immerse yourself in what that brewery is all about. That's what Untapped's all about. This huge community that we're in the middle of is discovering new fun things and people that also enjoy them. And it sounds like Harvest Host is a very similar community that are people that are just loving kind of the open road and discovering new things and can really do that with wine, with beer, golf, all of them, which thank goodness you have an RV and lay down
and supporting local. I think that's I don't know what changed. And because this was happening before COVID. So COVID, I think, accelerated the trend towards supporting small businesses and local businesses, but it was already happening. Right. I think that small town America was having this like revival where, like where old buildings that were discarded were now turning into breweries is a perfect example. And attracting people to come have that local experience. So COVID again, like fast forwarded that, but it's not going away. I think that's here to stay for a while.
Right. And I would imagine, I mean, you know more than me for sure, but like I anecdotally have so many friends or family members who are like, we got an RV or we're getting an RV. Like, okay, cool. Can't go on a traditional vacation right now, but we can go with our family somewhere in an RV, avoid the hotels. Like the kind of convenience that an RV brings to today's world, really, I mean, people have figured it out and are like, we're just doing this now. This is part of our lifestyle. Why wait? That was another one. Like my good friend who was like waiting to start like his RV life, two of them actually, and they bought RVs the past 2 years because they were like, well, I'm not going to wait now. I can take my computer, work wherever I want and go to breweries or wherever I want to and sleep out back. And it's very cool. Right. Obviously, the world's very crazy right now, but for these little things that happen that on the personal level that a lot of people that I know are doing, that it's like, oh, that's great that this thing kind of kicked you into doing something you were waiting to do for really maybe no reason. But when you had a little bit of time to think of what you were doing, it was like, let's not wait. Let's just go on this adventure now. So
yeah, I mean, I like to say the Great American Road Trip is back.
Yes,
I think one of the reasons is it gives people control again. Like we live in this weird world where a lot of stuff's out of our control, and when you have an RV or any vehicle and you can jump in it and like go somewhere on your own, on a whim at your own beck, and call, like there's a control factor, and we miss that. Like people want to be in control.
Sure. I think I totally agree. You're right. That kind of convenience of taking your home with you, familiar stuff with you, but right. There is no check-in time. There is no checkout time. You go where you want to go when you want to go there. And yeah, that's right. That feels almost too weird and too freeing. And if you're having that feeling at home, just ignore it, or maybe accept it, swallow it, and go, no, wait, that's what I'm supposed to be doing, exploring the world while I can. And
totally.
For people who are for like new to this, and they're like, Harrison and Joel, this sounds amazing. How do I begin? You guys have a couple resources for people that are like brand new to RVing on your website, right? Like an ebook that kind of can walk them through that. Is that right?
Yeah, totally. Yeah. So we've got a fantastic blog, with every article you can imagine on how to choose the right unit, how to rent a unit, how to do basic things like dumping your wastewater and filling up with water.
Very important. Yeah.
Very important. I will say this, it's not that hard. Like the reality is, I think it's easy to put RVing on a pedestal sometimes. It's super simple. I mean, these things have been around since the like early 1900s. They've only been perfected more and more every year. It's a little house on wheels, and you plug it in, you put a little water in it, you connect your little stinky slinky to the ground, you're good to go. It's just really not that hard. But it's a ton of fun. And so, like you said, we have that guide to RVing. So a newbie's guide to RVing.
Yeah.
You can find that on our website. And there's a lot of great YouTube channels out there. And then it's like, that's another, we started creating some content, but why reinvent the wheel? There are a lot of great YouTubers who walk you through RVing. And you can look up and find all kinds of great videos on Harvest Hosts and the best places to go as well. And that's another thing we put in our blogs, a lot of recommendations on like, hey, if you're looking for a brewery route, here's something to check out. So we do provide a lot of information. I did pull up, I was doing a little quick research on some of our most popular breweries, and one of them that has always been our most popular is Big Sky Brewing Company in Montana.
Wow. Yeah, for
in
sure.
Missouri.
I bet. Wow.
Yeah, and so I'm sure that they're popular on Untapped. They have such a beautiful setting. So it's like the views from there are just unreal. And then the beer's great. And I like one of the photos I'm seeing a member posted was one of their beers. We make water fun. That's great. What a nice thing to do.
Exactly. And Big Sky is famous for Moose Drool Brown Ale, which is like, it was one of those original, almost like craft beers where the name's hilarious. And that was whatever, I'm dating myself, but a long time ago was like a beer that people would trade for and be like, this is wild and cool. And it's a brown ale, but they can go to drink where moose drool is made, which is a funny sentence, but I'm right. But that can happen and actually stay there and hang out. And yeah, I mean, Montana is amazing. Big Sky Brewing is right that I'm sold on that one. All of them really, but like I was curious if it was out in Montana, Wyoming, kind of the stars at night, laying down, having some moose drool. Like I'm sold.
So good. And then then I'm based in Colorado. If you're passing through Colorado, we have the Colorado Farm Brewery. And this is our most popular in Colorado. They have same thing, beautiful setting, but they do concerts, right? So I think that's another, talking about wrapping things together. They do these awesome concerts. And so you can have a great beer and a concert and then walk back to your rig and go to bed. I mean, that's a full evening right there.
Yeah, that sounds amazing. This all does. I mean, it's right. As I said in the beginning, like the more you learn about this, it's like, oh my gosh, why hasn't this happened? Why don't I have an RV? So I start questioning myself and the decisions I've made. It's like, why am I not doing this? Why is this not happening? Why am I looking up how much it costs to go to Disneyland for a vacation? Let's forget that ridiculous dream. Let's go make our own. And you make that really easy. I mean, absolutely. It's, you've done really all that, like the hard work. You just become a member and great, pick your adventure, as you said, and you're off and running. So I would love to talk about that a little bit and kind of the future. You mentioned adding more breweries, which is exciting, but for 2022, what's kind of that you can reveal, and I'm sure there's maybe some secret things we can't talk about yet, but that you can talk about for this coming year. What are you guys up to? What can we expect from Harvest Hosts in the near future? What's going on?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing you can expect is more breweries. So our goal this year, it's the biggest goal we've had in the history of the company, is to add 2,000 new hosts to the program.
Wow.
Yep. So to grow from 3,000 to 5,000. We have a phenomenal team. We've really grown the team quite a lot in the last year.
Yeah.
And And a lot of that focus is on growing our network because we know that right, that's what makes the company work.
Sure.
Right. Our members are here because we have such a great network of hosts. And our hosts are happy because they get supported and it's just it's great for them. So our pitch, I think, is strong. Mm-hmm. Now it's a matter of getting the word out to more breweries, which is why I'm glad to be here, by the way, because if any breweries listening, I can promise you happy customers, more revenue. We'll take none of it. It'll never cost you anything. So go to harvesthost.com and click for hosts and sign up. It's free.
I love it.
But yeah, my goal is to add hundreds of new hosts in 2022. Breweries, 2,000 new hosts, but hundreds of breweries. I want to have them everywhere, right? I mean, so it's interesting. We have a lot of them out west, a lot on the East Coast. I was a little disappointed when I looked up North Carolina and saw that we don't have a great penetration of breweries. So we're going to work on that. But yeah, that's what 2022's focus is.
I love that, and I'm pretty confident in saying you will get some breweries reaching out from this show, because I get a lot of breweries reaching out to me asking me to talk to them about beers and have them on all kinds of stuff. So I know they listen. I know you're listening. Don't hide. But I mean, yeah, I would encourage you to be a part of this. This is such a cool, right? Like, what the downside? I don't see one. Like, there isn't one. It's just you get more people who are going to care about what you're doing, hang out, be an ambassador for your brewery, create great experiences they share with more people. Like,
well, then that's a good point too. So our members are very, very social, and the amount that they post, they make YouTube videos, TikToks, Instagrams, Facebook postings. They love to share it. I mean, that's the beautiful thing is when you're in an RV and you're going to a brewery, you just want to tell everybody about it. So it's great for the brewery because then they benefit. Yeah, I think the only reason not to work with us is if you don't have space. I mean, that really if you don't need more people. And you don't need more, traffic. We get it. But if you have room, you want some great customers, I promise you'll enjoy it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I'm sold. Again, I'm trying to think, what can I sell to get an RV? I know you guys have great rules. I can't just roll up in my car and sleep in the back. Like, you have to have a toilet and a kitchen and be an actual RV, which I'm sure the hosts appreciate. Just get people showing up right in a Wrangler trying to sleep on their roof. That's not what we're talking about. But so, yeah, again, it's very thoughtful the way you put everything together for the members, but also for the hosts to feel like, it's easily mutually beneficial. And that's great. Just putting the thought you guys have into all this on really every level. It's awesome. It made me happy to see all that. And you actually brought something to share with us today, a promo code. So if you're out there and you're yelling at your phone or YouTube or whatever, and you're like, I'm ready. Like, how do I sign up? I have an RV. I've been trying to use it more. Cool. We're going to get really easy to become a member for Harvest Hosts.
That's right. And so, yeah, when you're checking out on the website, click join now. Before you pay, there's a coupon code field. The code's Untapped. That's it. Put in Untapped. And you'll save 15%, and that's locked in. So you'll save 15% as long as you're a member. And we never raise prices on existing members. So I think that, especially in this time we're in right now, inflation.
That's right.
Every day I get an email saying prices of this are going up, prices of that are going up.
I know.
Sign up with us. We're not going to raise your price. So and you'll save a little money too.
That's right. The only inflation is in your tires. That's it. That's where it should be.
I wish that was the only inflation. Feels like everything's getting expensive.
I know it is, but the open road's still there. It's still mostly free, depending on gas and all that other stuff. But that's not important. Think about that. Think about the fun you're going to have, the adventure you're not having right now, and wondering, why am I not doing it? Okay, wonder no more. Jump on over at harvesthost.com. Check this out. Maybe you'll see John and I there. Maybe we'll get an RV. That was a long-running joke a season ago that we would get an RV and just go from brewery to brewery and do the show there. I mean,
couldn't you imagine an untapped, wrapped RV on the road? I mean, it's a no-brainer.
Yep, I can see it. I've seen it many dreams and doodles on notepads and stuff. It exists. The print of it is somewhere in some probably old folder of mine. I have to dig that out. But Joel, this has been awesome today, talking to you about Harvest Hosts, about the really unique approach you guys have to hit the open road, take it adventuring in your RV to the next level. It's awesome. Thank you so much for your time and sharing this great stuff with us.
Yeah, Harrison, I appreciate you having me on the show. It's always a blast to talk about RVing and drinking beer.
I know, right? I could do this any day.
Yeah.
All right. Joel is awesome. And remember, for all you RVers or soon to be RVers like me and maybe John now out there, the promo code is just Untapped. You're going to save 50% off an annual membership that Harvest hosts. And maybe, yeah, John and I will finally get our act together and buy that long romanticized about RV and take drinking socially on the road. Drinking, that sounds dangerous. Don't worry. We'll be smart.
Drinking while parked.
Yeah. Right. Yeah, we're safe. Drinking while parked. There we go. Parking lot beers. That's maybe another thing. So Joel mentioned debulation during that interview, and I'm pretty sure we have the first bonus beer of the season to enjoy, thanks to Joel and the folks over at Debulation. There we go. John's got it. Looks terrifying, but it sounds amazing. Their peanut butter and vanilla milk stout. You pulled up some stats on this thing, John, so I'll let you crack into that real quick while I crack into this beer.
Yeah, this one, great pick, Harrison, and thanks for the suggestion. This beer from Debulation's out in Richmond Hill in Georgia, and the beer they sent, peanut butter and vanilla milk stout.
Ooh.
You know, I'm already interested.
I know.
The notes we have here, this is a 5.2%, 32 IBUs, and probably most impressive, this took first place at the 2020 Homebrewers competition at the Domrus Cup. So first place homebrew winning beer, which should pique your interest. These guys, Debulation, out in Georgia, not huge. I think they haven't been around for very long. They're kind of just getting started. You can check them out on Untapped and take a look at their beer list. They have one called Spicy Garlic Pickle that I wish I knew more about. But they also have a mango habanero that's listed as a chili beer. So that'll help you level up your Raising the Heat badge. But what I really want to hear about is Harrison's take on this peanut butter vanilla milk stout.
I love it. And it's as advertised, as described, I should say, in the name of the beer. I mean, when someone says peanut butter to me, my mind goes, and chocolate. But today it says, and vanilla milk stout, and it's working. It's peanut butter in the nose, peanut butter up front, and then it jumps right into like a French vanilla milk kind of frappe thing happening in my brain. Really cool combo, but even though vanilla was the name, the vanilla surprised me. It jumps right out and grabs you. But again, not in an overpowering way. Lots of peanut butter in here too. So this is pretty cool. And it's cooler still. It's only 5.2%. So this is my kind of peanut butter and vanilla milk stout where I could actually get down with it. But so a lot of peanut butter, vanilla jumping in. What's happened over there on your side of things, John?
Yeah, honestly, not much different than what you're getting on the nose. I'm trying, but for me on the nose, I got like beer, and then you get like with peanut butter. Go test me. Go grab your Jif jar. Tell me what peanut butter smells like. It's kind of tough, and I get a little bit of that, like, I don't know, unanswered smell in here, where I'm like, okay, there's something hidden below the surface, and then when I take a sip of it, super smooth. Like the carbonation is not flying all over in here, which really helps me taste that smooth milk stout. The peanut butter flavor just kind of rides the wave. And then, like Harrison said, the milk stout, the lactose, the smoothness that brings really adds a lot too. There was something I wish I would have grabbed on the YouTube video before I cracked this, Harrison. Did you notice anything special about the cap you were talking about earlier on this?
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it looks to me like we got a hand capper situation perhaps, or one of the old on the counter ones. A lot of sweat and effort going into, well, not into literally, I hope, but around these beers, for these beers to be bottled. Bottling beers manually, that is difficult. So hats off to these guys for capping them.
And I think a great product inside. I think the closer you can get, I talk a lot about food. You can go out to the nicest restaurant in the world. You can order the most expensive thing on the menu and try and impress whoever you're there with. It's not going to taste as good as that dish that your mom or your friend made for you in their kitchen. And sometimes when you get a beer like this, that's probably really close to the homebrew recipe that went into it, sometimes I feel like there's just so much care and attention to detail that goes into these. It's hard to replace on a big level.
Yeah, you're right. I mean, staying small is kind of, if you can do it. I mean, obviously, if you're going to be a brewery and that's your job, you have to make money. And usually you may start as a nano and then you feel like you have to keep growing because you got employees and they need benefits and blah, 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 blah. We know how it works.
Not having kids. Yeah.
But I mean, hats off to them their brewery is sick. They've got a huge mural on the side of it of an awesome Viking battleship.
Nice.
Definitely can tell from the pictures that the fermenters are on the smaller side, which is great. I mean, that's kind of what the point we're making. Like, if you can put that care and attention into a homebrew on a not much larger than a homebrew size system, but make a living off of it, kind of figured it out. That's kind of always been my secret plan, is to make a brew pub size brewery, convert my garage into a business, and never leave home again. But that's time for another life. I have 900 colleges to pay for children and things like that. But after all that, John, when I got nothing left but one kidney, I'll sell that and open up my garage brewery.
That sounds good. I'll gladly come drink the rest of your cellar beers with you.
I can't because I have no kid anymore. At least I can brew it. But no, they're keeping the spirit of that, whatever that is, alive. They're killing it. I love this. This is beautiful what they're doing. And the beer is a product of that. I mean, this thing's it's awesome, truly. I mean, this is what I want. Every time I see a crazy milkshake beer, I'm like, man, I wish, or a pastry stout, I wish it was 5%, and it's always 11. Not today. Today I win with all the flavors and have more than one of them, maybe.
Today's been a great day. It's really exciting to get back on the air with you, drinking weird beers. If you're fortunate enough to be in or around the Richmond Hill, Georgia area, stop into Devilation, ask him what it means. I think it has something to do with a pretty destructive end of a Viking battle. And other than that, I think that's everything. I forget how we end these. What's next week? Next week, we're going to be big deal. Next week, we're putting on our snow pants. We're getting in the RV, metaphorically, and we're heading out to Mills River virtually, which is in North Carolina. We're going to enjoy some Powder Day IPA, which is a brand new beer from Sierra Nevada.
That's right. So until then, keep your glasses clean and your cellar dark. Cheers! We're back, baby. Oh, I'm sweating.
Mm-hmm.